Let me first of all indicate that I am honored and privileged to be asked to co-chair this committee with my colleague Desmond McKenzie. I don't know what we did to deserve this, but we have to work hard and to make it happen, along with my colleague ministers on the Relief and Recovery Committee charged on behalf of the government to coordinate this awesome task, and to say that I will give it my all. Let's start today with Petrojam. And Petrojam loading facilities, as I indicated, sustained no major damage, and integrity assessments confirmed they are safe. Loading of tankers for island-wide delivery began at 6 a.m. today, ensuring that fuel distribution continues uninterrupted. I have a call with the marketing companies and all the fuel suppliers at 11:30 this morning to indicate to them and to coordinate with them through the National Works Agency, and most importantly the police, to allow to get these trailers or tankers into the western part of the island to fuel the gas stations, which are in some cases low and out of fuel. That will also go for alternative sources of fuel and LPG and whatever is required to keep the operations and the citizenry of these areas going. So I'm hoping that based on the roads being cleared or somewhat cleared, we'll be able to get fuel in, and of course the police will be asked to escort to get them in a timely manner as a matter of urgency. Flow and Digicel, as we know, they sustained major damage to their infrastructure, and we are looking at about Flow, 40% of its network is active. That's mostly in the corporate area, St. Thomas, Trelawney, and St. Andrew. And initial recovery is focused on urban centers outside the storm's direct impact zone, with phased restoration in less impacted areas. Mobile connectivity is currently at 22%. 100,000 customers are utilizing Flow emergency services, with Starlink in areas where both networks are down. 31% of Digicel's mobile customers is online, with 24% of their sites running on generators. There was 69% of its fixed business customers, and half of the home internet users are now connected, with service gradually increases as commercial power returns. Both providers have flown in additional technical teams and equipment and are prioritizing repair of the towers, fiber routes, and critical communication, especially in Montego Bay, St. Elizabeth, and Hanover. The crews are working hard to restore connectivity island-wide, and obviously we thank them for their commitment. Airports, which is where everything starts. Nothing can happen unless we have those airports open. I'm happy to say again that Norman Manley International Airport accepted 13 cargo relief flights yesterday, and that does not include what relief came in on commercial airlines and also private airlines, which there were many. I'm happy to say that both commercial and relief operations continue at Norman Manley International Airport, and we are expecting in excess of 20 cargo flights coming in today. So I want to pause to say that the issue of the relief and the support that we have gotten is overwhelming, and we thank our partners all across the world, governments and charitable organizations, NGOs. But that's the easy part. The hard part is the logistics of getting this relief into these areas in the shortest possible time, which we are now pretty much out of time in terms of the desperation among the citizenry. Happy to announce that there are several helicopters on the way. Between 8 and 10 from the US government, and those are the big helicopters that have the ability to transfer and treat patients that may need underground treatment, plus, of course, be able to carry a lot of relief supplies. Not to mention that some of the charitable organizations that are here, the big ones, have their own assets, private helicopters, and I suspect that by end of today, we will probably have about 6 or 7 of those. What we will do with that is to coordinate between the JDF, who will be overall in charge of the flight operations of those helicopters, and of course, the non-government organizations who are anxious to get out there, and of course, the government's response through Ministry of Labor and Social Security and other arms of government to make sure that we have a smooth logistics trying to get into as many communities as possible at the same time or in succession. So I would say to all of those persons who are still out there waiting and looking up in the sky, that you will start to see movements today, and you're going to hear a lot of activity, and I'm sure that that will make you feel better once you see it, because you probably are feeling that you are forgotten. You are not forgotten, and you will never be forgotten. Montego Bay Airport had a lot more damage as it got St. James, got close to a direct hit, and I'm pleased to say that we are, sorry, we are taking flights, relief flights in Montego Bay now for 2 days, and finally and thankfully, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, MBJ will open for commercial passengers. What does that do? That allows us to get out all of the persons, the tourists especially, who are here and need to get out, and also more access for commercial and relief supplies, persons who want to come back in to help and persons who want to go out. We will be operating out of 3 airports for relief and commercial flights. The 3 international airports, Ian Fleming International Airport, Montego Bay tomorrow, and of course, Norman Manley, which was back up and running. So, I also want to say that Starlink headquarters is on the way here now, and there is quite a number of Starlink offers from charitable organizations within the US, and of course, we look forward to meeting with them to see what they can do for us in terms of getting the police stations and all the essential services up and running. On top of which, the Universal Service Fund has over 120 community Wi-Fis across Jamaica. We're going to use Starlink to get them back up so persons in communities that have been affected can get service, free service, to be able to communicate with their loved ones, and of course, throughout the challenging time of the recovery effort. Happy to say that Minister Dixon mentioned it about international companies with disaster logistics experience. Well, we are thankful that we have 2 offers locally that I want to especially mention. The Honorable Danville Walker, OJ, who was made in charge of the ONR, Office of National Reconstruction, after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, 21 years ago. And he was given an OJ, Order of Jamaica, one of the highest honors for his work there. And he is going to come on stream full-time for the Cabinet Subcommittee to be able to liaison between the government apparatus and, of course, our private sector partners, etc. The other one is the outgoing or former UK High Commissioner, Asif Ahmad, who also was given an honor in his home country of the UK after being in, I think it was the Philippines or Thailand, one of those countries that had a major typhoon, and he was at the head of the relief and recovery. He's now based in UK after leaving Jamaica's shores, but he has assured us that he will be here next week to assist us in whichever way. I want to thank both of them, and we look forward to the expertise. But I want to go one step further. This government and this committee will never ever say that we know everything. As a matter of fact, in most cases we know, for me in particular, I have no expertise in this other than a little common sense, which is not very common. However, I can say that we will not feel that we are so important and so powerful because of our ministerial position, our member of parliament, our cabinet. We will seek and put together the finest team of local and international disaster logistic experts to carry us through this quicker, faster, and better. So I want to reassure the country that under the leadership of this committee, co-chaired by Minister Mackenzie and myself, we are open to all and every advice, all and every resource, all and every prayer, and whatever else comes with it. We know the responsibility that we have, and we will make sure to deliver on the confidence that the Prime Minister has placed in us. Tolls remain open. Disturbing reports about extortion and charges on the toll, but more so the fact that there's a safety concern that I want to raise. Because the toll booths are open, Desmond, and the sticks are up, people are driving through them at in excess of the speed limit on the highway, which has caused accidents in the past and is going to cause more if it continues. I am pleading with every motorist that uses the east-west and north-south highway. Please, we have enough problems on our hands now than to overburden the hospitals with irresponsible behavior, injuries as a result, or death as a result of irresponsible behavior. Just slow down and respect the toll booths and respect the attendants that are there so we don't have any more incidents. And other thing I would say on transportation is I've gotten disturbing reports that the public passenger vehicles licensed by the government of Jamaica are overcharging already. Not overcharging in Westmoreland because they can't carry anybody down there. Right here in Kingston and St. Andrews, Spanish Town, Portmore, St. Mary, all of the areas that are unaffected, they are overcharging, in some cases, 50 to 100%. I am sending a warning, and I'm putting the Transport Authority on alert. Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance between the police and the Transport Authority. Carry out as many sting operations and seize as many. The more the merrier, because one thing we're not going to accept in this disaster is unconscionable behavior. So today JUTC ran out 168 regular JUTC buses, 21 premium, 3 rural express, and 7 disaster relief. I want to make it clear that JUTC stands ready and will continue to transport essential workers into the disaster zone. The JDF already contacted me this morning. We're moving some soldiers down along with their apparatus. 27,000 customers in the parishes of Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Thomas, St. Catherine. Kingston and St. Andrew will be restored 90% by Sunday, November 2nd. St. Thomas, 90% restored by midnight Sunday. St. Catherine, 75% restored by midnight Sunday, November 2nd. So we still want to hear about St. Mary and Portland and the others. The Clarendon, 63% of customers out. Hanover, 98. KSA North, 26. KSA South, 4%. Manchester, 99%. Portland, 83%. Portmore, 64%. St. Anne, 99%. St. Catherine, 48%. St. Elizabeth, 99%. St. James, 99%. St. Mary, 99%. St. Thomas, 10%. Trelawney, 99%. Westmoreland, 99%. 66, an average of 66, and 462,000 out of 700,000 customers. So I commit to all the customers of the JPS that as of today you'll be getting more detailed information, and you have my commitment that we will stay on them until such time as full restoration in the unaffected areas and a plan, comprehensive plan for the affected areas within the next few days after the assessments have been completed. Again, let us take time to continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in the West, and every opportunity that you get a quiet moment, I encourage you to do that, because only that will take us through this crisis. God bless Jamaica, and God bless you.